be with you in a second because I'm pissed off. You know, if you told me there would be a film in my list that I was going to like even less than Censor, I'd probably be giggling right about now. If you'd have told me that not only was there a horror film in here about a serial killer that I was going to get so mad at that I was just going to rage quit and watch the ending and go, well, that was a bunch of bullshit. That was an utter garbage film. And literally quit out after an hour and a half because after that much, I had had enough abuse for one evening. Yes, I didn't quit during Censor, but I quit during this movie. And then, to top off the shit Sunday that has developed in front of me, not only is it someone I know and somewhat trust in the horror community, but it's mother flippin' Lars von Trier. Let's talk about the house that Jack built. Now I know what you're thinking. That is not the picture you've all seen. You're used to seeing Matt Dillon's face, and that's enticing. And I don't want you to be enticed. I don't want you to see this film. I don't want you to, unless you are just absolutely 100% up for the abuse. Because I promise you, this was misery incarnate. I shit you not. Hi. Welcome to Dave's Dungeon. No fanfare. No Dave getting excited. Hi, I'm Dungeon Master Dave, and I review films based on 5 criteria. But those won't flippin' matter. I'm going to say the F word. I just want to get a little deeper into the review with just a small chance of getting through it. I was asked by someone who was present while I was reviewing parts of the film whether I was giving out negative scores because I've given 0 points on some of these. And the answer is yes! Minus 5 DKP. For those of you who get that joke, I'm sorry. I hope you've recovered fully. How do I even approach this pile of horseshit? Plot. It's shot like a vignette series. And that is disturbing in and of itself for a movie that could have been a single shot, straightforward narrative. Okay? I'm just saying, just on its face, the setup's a little fucking weird. Then we get into... Oh my goodness. It's like the director of the film, who is also the writer, who is also the fucking serial killer in this film, I swear to God. It's like he wrote an autobiography of all the things he wished he could do. And then somehow tried to tie it into an aggrandized epic that would carry it into greatness for him. And hate to say it, but this was like jacking off and the wind is blowing at you. It's just going to go all over you, and I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Sorry if that was a little graphic for some of you, but I have to figure out a way to explain to you what this experience was like. Yeah, it was a little bit like that. Oh man. And I mean I want to say there are nuggets of a good setup here. There is a nugget of a good setup here. The first 30 minutes of this film, I thought we were going to have fun. I thought we were going to have a good time. I thought I was in for a fun time. No. No. The charm of the first 30 minutes is gone very fast. From the moment you hear the word rain, forget it. This film loses all charm. And it just becomes I'm gonna say this. Like I said, I'm not. This is films getting negative points. Okay, it's almost like Whose Line at this point. It doesn't really matter how negative it goes. It's just fucking negative. This is one of those films that I just cannot, in good conscience, recommend to anybody who is living, dead, and or otherwise. I'm pretty sure the creators of Birdemic see this film and go, holy shit, we dodged a bullet. Whoo! Yeah. Because at least they got to make a sequel. And at least their movie wasn't like watching a Waffle House garbage can burn. No, I'm sorry. That's actually more entertaining to watch than this film. And part of it is the academicness of it. And I get where some of you are going, Dave, you kind of do an academic style review, and I like to be a little bit more objective and give you some things about a film, whether spoilers or not, that you might be able to parse a film with. You know what I'm saying? That you're not just going in fully blind, you're getting something. You're not and with so much out there and with so few good examples of horror nowadays, it's become a hunt, and I want to be a part of that hunt, and I want you to be a part of that hunt too. So when I send you a film, I don't want to just say, hey, go watch the film. I want to tell you why it's worth watching, so you go, oh, okay, this is my type of film, or maybe it's not. So you get some idea, not to spoil anything, but to just give you a heads up and let you know, hey, this is a film for you or not. From there, it's like I want to be a part of the search for good horror. And sometimes that means you got to fart while you're on a mic. And that means sometimes you got to watch a movie that's like sucking a fart out your own butt. And that was this film. I've done 8 minutes on it. I just want to make sure that you know how. Again, I would rewatch. Like, how bad a film are we talking? Because, like, I'll take a 24-hour cut of Frank if you got it. And if none of you know what Frank is, Michael Fassbender and, what's his name? He was Charlie or Bill in Harry Potter. Probably some of the best music you'll see in an indie film with Michael Fassbender in it, who is singing. Go check out that film instead of this one. And I have to say this. Special effects, who cares? Tension, why? Gore, ugh. I mean, yeah, it was there. And some of the people will say, okay, so it was gory. And some people have said, it's too gory. And I have to say this, it's no gorier than an episode of CSI. It's realistic. is what it is. The gore isn't over the top. I mean, I've watched in some of the films in the past couple of days. I was telling the missus, some of the films I've watched, some people get like curb stomped with a steering wheel, and you get to see that and the consequence of that. This just felt real. This just felt a little real. And for art people, it does. I can see where it would be too much for them. It would be too much of the thing and not enough of the zest of it or the substance of it or the style of it. And that just drives me nuts. Because as somebody who watches horror for the actual, I am still hunting the great white whale, and I am Captain Ahab of the horror train. And someone asked me the other day, Dave, does anything really scare you when it comes to horror films nowadays? It's hard to say. It's hard to say if anything really penetrates the experiences I've had in not just real life, but in horror. Some films get there, and I've since had to think up a few that were like, yeah, this film put me on edge in more than one way. This ain't it. Curse of La Llorona, for God's sakes, put you right on edge. Especially the pool scene. That's one thing I don't want to mess with. I'm out. Nah, I'm good. That thing can go to hell. Die, burn to hell. But what to say? It's not Matt Dillon's fault. It's not any of the people's in this film's fault. And might I just say, what a piss poor way to use Uma Thurman's first 35 minutes in your fucking 2.5 hour film. What is the worst way to use Uma Thurman? That right there. Uma Thurman is a treasure, and you just squandered her with the worst dialogue I've ever seen. I thought the dialogue for Terrifier was bad. Nah. The Cenobite of bad writing was waiting around the fucking corner going, oh, I have such sight to tell you. And that's not to make fun of the writer. That's just to say, as attempts, this fails utterly. And that writer controversially wanted to spark people with this. And I'm just like, I don't see how it would even do that. And then I remembered Censor. And then I remembered this is a Cannes winner. This is a Sundance winner. And I need to stop listening to those people who keep recommending this shit. Yes, this is another one of those that whoever recommended some shit to me. Yeah, I watched it, motherfucker. I'm coming for you. And like I said, this is not Matt Dillon's fault. He's fine. He's a great actor. And he gives us a solid performance here. But between the sort of sterile academic for the sake of art plot, the utterly devoid of emotion dialogue, the sort of back and forth philosophical discussion of what makes art versus what makes, moral ineptitude or debauchery. I mean, it was like trying to watch somebody, and I've done this. It's like trying to watch somebody take a bad concept from a philosophy 101 class and then ram it into a concept from another paper that they're having to write and just utterly screwing the pooch on both ends of I didn't represent the philosophy well, and I damn sure didn't do the assignment. So and just how am I scared of a movie that tells me about itself in events? It's not a direct film. It doesn't, and I'm spoiler now. For those of you who don't want any kind of heavy shit that I'm fixing to just drop all over the place, flee for your lives, because the vitriol comes. Salt Boy is born from the bones of utter carnage that is to come. So run away before I scare you. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like. I enjoy it when you do that. Make sure you subscribe for more good, honest, clean, fun. Killing is good for the whole family, and you will find it reviewed nowhere else quite like you do here. So, thank you for joining me. Hope to see you on our next adventures. Until then, I have more rage to do, but I have to do it in a very direct way because I'm all about pointing directly at the problems. And the problems are this fucking concept makes no damn sense. The OCD of the character falls away. And I have a whole big problem about that. Given how OCD the whole exercise is, given how OCD and meticulous each detail is laid out, and yet the character loses that. It's so refreshing in the first 30 minutes to see a character who is fully necessary and needed to be a certain way, and then to just see that completely and it's like he was pretending and it was a put on the whole time, and I'm just ready to punch something because it feels like over elaboration. It feels like gross acting, and nothing pulls me out of a story worse than feeling like a character overnight just changed all of a sudden. And that's part of sort of, I guess, the grossness of a serial killer is the idea that it's really just a put on. And they don't even do that well here because it's far less engaged in the idea of why this serial killer kills. It's far more engaged in what cool shit we can do to bother you. What craven, depraved thing we can do to pee in your ear so that you'll be upset. And some of you are going, dear Christ, did you have to say that quite so loud, quite so close to the mic? Yes. Had to. Because this director must be stopped. He must be. You must believe me when I tell you this. That this is bad. From the word. Exhibit 3. It is bad from the middle of the road to the end, and it just keeps going. Promise you, at an hour and 35 minutes, I was only at exhibit 3 of 5, and I had only just begun it. And I watched the cliff notes of each one after that, and I watched the ending, and I went, you know what? I have wasted enough time on this film already. Add another hour and a half, I'm done. Because I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't go through the film that they wanted me to see. It was just that bad. I mean, the pure sort of discussion of what is art and whether this murderer is doing art and whether that art is worthwhile and what the cost of that art is, and just it's not the way an obsessive compulsive neurosis would work. the neurosis would revolve back to the person, not to the art. The obsessive compulsiveness of what you tried to use as a transference for the behaviors, going from I'm obsessed about how meticulous a thing has to be to now I'm obsessed with having to kill someone. It doesn't even work there because he doesn't really seem to have a care for when or any kind of specific compulsion for timing either, given what we see. So I'm left wondering, how does his OCD and narcissism, which is something that you bring up, not me, by the way, I was happy to let the psychology of this shit lie. I was happy to let the movie do its little diatribe about what makes a serial killer a bleeding serial killer, as if we haven't done that shit 400,000 times. And I'm fixing to watch the first film that frickin' did it, and you shouldn't have even tried. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, if you didn't know which film I was referencing. I'm fixing to watch that one, which is quite frankly a classic. And I'm watching it as a palate cleanser. Get the absolute dog shit of this movie out of my mouth. And I have to say, as it goes for special effects, I mean, the one special effect you had, oh man, I think this is like my fourth house made out of bodies made out of a house, whatever you want to say, our body house. I think this is my fourth corpse house I've seen. And hell, I think there's a movie called Corpse House. If there's not, I know there's a film called House that's got some shit to do with corpses. So, yeah, you're not new here. This isn't some, neat thing about a serial killer that somehow works. It feels really like it's about the director, because a lot of the stuff, you watch the interviews with Von Trier, and you watch the interviews with, or you listen to the interviews with Jack and Verge, which, if you don't know, that's Virgil from Dante's Inferno. Surprise! Just in case you didn't know. Because this film isn't trying to do enough shit for no reason. Let's throw in Dante's Inferno. And I mean, they're seriously going for it, including a damn lava lake. We go from trying to pull off the 5 headshot. I think it's 5. It doesn't even fucking matter. It's the dumbest idea I've ever seen. We go from trying to pull off the dumbest headshot of multiple people with a full metal jacket I've ever seen, and a neuroses coming at the worst fucking time, in a moment when it hasn't mattered for an hour of the runtime. I'm not half tired or ready to stop punching this film. And it's, like I said, it's not Matt Dillon's fault. I've seen Matt Dillon act. I love Matt Dillon. There are other films. And there are other Von Trier films. And that's where I'm the most mad about this shit. He's the writer-director. He's the one that set this shit up. All for the controversy. And I'm telling you, the one controversy is I'm going to say this, YouTube. It's when the kids get hunted. That's the way I'll say that. It's when the kids get hunted. Yeah, that's the real controversy that kind of makes people just go away. I don't blame them. It's kind of hard to watch. Especially when he starts describing it in terms I've heard before. Yeah, like hunter terms. Yeah, it's not fun. And once you know what he is, and once the quirkiness goes away, because at first he's very unsure in the way that an obsessive compulsive person might be, where they're constantly checking things that they are obsessing about. and feel compulsively urged to do or to consider or to check. That being said, his early neuroses make sense up to about the 30-minute mark. Then it goes away like it never was, and you get beautiful Matt Dillon, and I don't feel good about that. Especially not given how hard I was just laughing at your first two incidents, for God's sakes. Incidents. It's 5 incidents. Yeah, I feel real good calling each incident. It's mind-blowing that this was a film that got made. It gives me hope, if anything. I mean, Von Trier's putting it out there. And you either love it or you fucking don't. I am sadly to say in that second cam, I cannot recommend this film. I do not recommend you waste an iota more than you already have on this film. Hopefully you've gotten at least some amusement out of my shenanigans. But that's all the time we have for this review. I have raged against the dying of the light far too long. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you have, make sure you leave me a like. I'd really appreciate it. It really makes me happy. Make sure you subscribe for more. I know we're going to get back to some good films. I can feel it. I know there's an Elijah Wood film coming up that I hope is good. Plus, for those of you who stuck around this long, Secret Video is coming along. Hopefully we will get it recorded here very shortly. And hopefully you guys will be seeing it tomorrow. But we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for joining me on these adventures, Dungeon Dwellers. I hope to see you on our next journeys. But until then, stay in school. Stay the hell away from Jack.